everyone. How are you guys doing? But I know that the majority of you are not here because I didn't, I can't, schedule my live stream anymore. So, wait, I can't click on my own. I need to get the link so that I can tweet. But let's wait for everyone to come join first. So if you're watching this later, you know, then skip. Okay. Okay. I am ready to tweet here. Make a post on X. Yeah. Done. Cool beans. Okay. Anyway. First, hello. Thank you for coming. I see you often on X. Let's see. Trump, man. Trump. Ta-da.
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.
Yep, he is in Paris, right? When I was about to go to sleep, I saw the news that he is visiting France, and he had a meeting with Macron and also Zelensky. So wow, I didn't expect I didn't expect that he would actually do diplomacy before the inauguration. How do you guys see that? I'm dying very late. It is late, I'm sorry. I wanted to come earlier, but yeah. I hope you don't hate me. Well, we'll see. Midnight EST, 11 Japan time, isn't it? It's actually the opposite to our difference, I think. I have a phone and I'm like checking my clock behind me. It's 2:30 in the afternoon. I am such a night owl that I can't wake up in the morning. So anyway, I will die for you. Oh, speaking of dying, I need to take a moment to, think of those who were sacrificed at Pearl Harbor. I feel like it's just such a long time ago now to think about it. Like it was, I felt the World War II close, like when I was younger, but now like I'm growing older, unfortunately. So yeah, I just want to say that, I admire the bravery of your soldiers, that the service of them to your country, America. And I'm never going to forget what happened between our countries. And even though Japan has our, reasons to go into the war and rather feel like we were pushed, but that's our side. And it's nothing can deny the fact that there were sacrifices made. And just know that as a Japanese national, I'm not forgetting that incident. So, yes. But every time I think about the World War II, I think it's amazing how we have come this far to form this firm alliance together. And our alliance is one of the tightest, strongest alliance in the world. And it's a miracle, I think, for if you think about it, apply this to other countries. It's not something that happens every time. So it's the mutual efforts is something that we should be proud of. Phone keyboards suck to type on my on for big hands. I actually have the same issue. So my phone is this size apparently. So recently, especially when it's cold, I can't type well, and autocorrect is not working well. So Trump gave him a nice handshake. Yeah, I saw that. Really firm, very strong. I'm still learning Japanese. It's the beanies. 日本語が難しいです。上手です。大丈夫です。Most don't even hold a grudge about that people move on. Good, good, good. It's not like I don't, I, I think of the war as a war. You know, both sides courageously fought, and because of that, we can actually admire each other. Um, but uh, but it's so weird that when we think about history, we just look at the number of the soldiers that were affected or that were killed in the war and so on. Like it's just a number. But if you really think about it, it's somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's father, and so forth. And it's crazy to me when I think about it. And when I look at Ukraine, for example, they are going through that right now. But speaking of Ukraine, there's a mention of Ukraine in, when is this? This is from yesterday. Ukraine, Ukraine, aggression, forgive? What is this? Oh, allows. So in Japanese, it's like allowing and forgiving are the same, yurusu. So I was confused for a minute. I'm like, what? No, like let it happen basically. So they had a Budapest memorial, and it's been 3 decades since it was signed. And even though it was supposed to protect Ukraine, you know, when they discarded, they got rid of nuclear weapons, it didn't work, right? So like you must not believe what other countries say. You know, you have to make sure that you can protect your own country. It's interesting how, like, as for Japan, like I know you guys have a lot to say about Ukraine, and just, you know, like, just do whatever you know that floats your boat. But as a Japanese person, over here, when the, you know, after the World War II, people were saying, our people have been saying, especially the conservative side, we want nuclear weapons, right? We want nuclear weapons. But the left side, of course, like they are anti-war and blah, blah, blah. In reality, it's just that they want to weaken Japan. But all those useful idiots, they just listen to the agitators that actually want to weaken Japan. But they use the excuse like, oh, we should all, you know, seek for peace and blah, 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 like, oh, anti-war, right? And then they try to stop us from having nuclear weapons. But as for us, we've always said that we want nuclear weapons. Because without nuclear weapons, you know, you don't have any deterrence, right? Japan doesn't have official military forces, but what we have, though, is a nuclear umbrella of the US. So thank you for your umbrella. But we are protected by that. But basically, that means, too, that that's the deterrence today, right? And today in Ukraine and Russia, nuclear, like Putin threatens Ukraine with nuclear weapons. Ukraine was invaded because they got rid of nuclear weapons. And what's interesting is that if Ukraine had nuclear weapons, I don't think that it would have happened, right? So that's what the majority of the Japanese people are seeing in this. So this is the Budapest memorial was there. It didn't work, right? And nuclear weapons is actually important to have. And with that in mind, when you look at North Korea, for example, they're developing nuclear weapons. For you, you probably think of Iran, but as for us, like in East Asia, we think of the threat of North Korea. And North Korea is developing nuclear weapons. They keep launching missiles towards Japan, because that's the only direction that they can launch, right? But so often it hasn't happened for the past, I guess, like a half a year maybe, but it was happening really, really often. And so like each time, like we would get alert on our phone, like, oh, missile from North Korea. And it could have nuclear weapon, like their nuclear technology might be on it, you know, like they are testing it. So, but now that, so what I'm trying to say is that now that Ukraine is invaded like this without nuclear weapons in hands, North Korea sees that. Kim Jong-un is probably seeing that, and he is probably, you know, realizing or making he's confirming that what he thinks is true, which is that he does need nuclear weapons to protect his country. This is the ironic moment. For us, it's good because the majority of the Japanese people are big. Somehow the rhetoric here is so weird. So apparently America dropped two nukes, right? To Hiroshima and Nagasaki, and it's so traumatizing to us Japanese. Like, and those are not the only bombs, you know. Just so you know, the entire Japanese like mainland was burned down, like on a daily basis. But those two bombs were very severe, and like you know how they make your skin melt and so on. It's really horrible, right? So we learned that in school because it's part of the anti-war education, I guess. And I saw that during elementary school a lot. Like each year during summer vacation, we have to go to school once in the middle of summer vacation, right? Like we have a summer vacation starting in July, and in my time, I would go back at the beginning of September. So summer vacation. And on August 6th or 9th, like either Hiroshima or Nagasaki Day, we go to school and learn. And so we are traumatized basically. And somehow, usually, if you have a healthy patriotism, that would be, the education would be that, oh, you got nuked, so let's have nukes, right? Because we know how horrible and like how powerful those weapons are. Let's have that. Right, so that our enemies will be frightened, right? That's what you would think if you are normal, if you're living in a normal country, but not Japan. In Japan, we are taught to think that because we, it's the weird part, because we were attacked by nuclear weapons, we shouldn't have one. Doesn't make sense to me. But that's just how it is. So yeah. But Ukraine is teaching a lot to us because so after the World War II, our military was taken away basically, and like a new constitution was imposed. Basically, Biden proudly said publicly when he was making a speech for Hillary back in 2015 or 16, he said that, oh, we wrote the Japanese constitution. And he said it in a tone to attack Trump because Trump didn't sound like he knew that history, like according to him, but whatever that was. So it was written by America. We basically officially, had that, made it active. And yeah, anyway, I'm rambling on history, but I'm getting comments. Is no right or wrong, really tiresome. Syria, yeah, Syrian situation is crazy. What is happening? But it's so interesting though, like when we think about the World War, like for example, World War III, like World War, when we think about it, we usually think about just, everywhere just fighting each other. But I realized through Syria that you know, you have to be really like independent, militarily independent in order to be into war or have any, you know, militaristic conflicts. Because now what's happening in Syria that I see is that Russia is busy fighting their own war, and Middle East, their allies are busy in against Israel. And they're left alone and they have to fight their own fight by their own selves, and it's not working well. And that is another thing that is teaching me a lot. Yeah, I saw that. I don't know if it's true, but I just briefly saw the information on X that somebody was saying that the plane of Assad on it crashed or something like that. But like in war, you know, information gets kind of mixed up, and like you don't know what the actual trustworthy source is. So I'm still not judging anything, but yeah. So I'd appreciate your super chat. Super chats will be prioritized. Let's see. Who most don't even hold a grudge about the wait. He's deporting Prince Harry. What are you talking about? Maine. I visit Nagasaki. The memorial is anti-nuclear. Yeah. And so you guys remember Obama's speech about the world without nuclear weapons, right? And our previous Prime Minister Kishida, he is from Hiroshima, so he was happy about Obama, right? And even though, you know, I think it was Shinzo Abe, that brought Obama to Hiroshima to have a ceremony together. Even though for Americans, it was probably part of his apologetic tour, right? Apologetic diplomacy throughout the world. But for us Japanese, as an ally, we were thankful for that. And Abe, in return, it's not really like return, but we just wanted to put the World War II in the past with like between Japan and the US. So Abe went to Pearl Harbor actually. To put this behind, you know, to just move on. So, and also, but showing, of course, the respect for all the people that were sacrificed and so on. So, yeah. But anyway, Kishida believes that the world without nuclear weapons is the way to go. So he says that whenever he has a chance. And this year, by the way, our leftist, like Japanese leftist organization that is pushing like no nuclear weapons, they won the Nobel Peace Prize. And then of course it's like Nobel Peace Prize is always political, right? Everybody knows that. And but they won that probably because Putin is threatening Ukraine with his nuclear weapons. So nuclear. It's so hard to say fast. Nuclear. Like you guys use the tongue so much. Like wow. Let's see. Trump visit DMZ. Remember? Yeah. Yes. Of course. Man, I've been to that area too. I've been to South Korea in 2019. There was CPAC actually, CPAC, you know, conservative conference, and it was held. It's been held since 2017, I think, starting in Japan. Like this, some people in Japan formed this counterpart of ACU in America. They made JCU, and they want to have activities in entire world, but especially in Asia, they want to expand too. And so there was one time that they held it in South Korea, and those people were kind enough to let my husband and I join them in the band to visit the border. So yeah. Oh man, there is a Starbucks, by the way, in South Korea now. Like you can that Starbucks in South Korea at the border zone, there's a Starbucks and you can actually see North Korea from there. Like, that's crazy to me. Yeah. Peace through strength. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. He stepped inside North Korea Secret Service. I was freaking out too because you never ever know what happens. If scary, anything could have happened. So that's good that it just went all right. Yeah. Great to see you. Thank you. Great to see you too. You must pass out, really? It's still early. Tokyo fire bombings was worse death toll than Nagasaki. Yeah, death toll wise, yes. And the way that America bombed Tokyo was actually cruel. But I guess it's a militaristic way of thinking because you make a circle. You bomb in a circle so that people cannot get out, and on the top of that, I believe that the bomb kind that was used to attack Tokyo were like napalm, so like it's oil basically it right, and then it starts like burning. And Japanese houses back then were all made of wood, so it burns really quickly, and then so people can get out, and then it burns like hell, like literally hell. Right, so that's what happens. It's really cruel. So I'm not gonna say things against America, but I believe that in Japan we have to change the wording and so on too, because it just says like bombings. But to me, like I shouldn't be saying this to you because it's offensive to you. But with the historic definitions, it's probably massacre or genocide in today's world. So like we need to talk about that sort of stuff. But the problem that I have in Japan is that Japanese people were so like some people were traumatized. Some people are just angry, and others are not sure of what really happened historically. And even though there was this trials in disguise, America had Tokyo trials. I mean the UN, like those our enemies had Tokyo trials. So our leaders were executed basically. But yeah, why am I talking about it? Oh yeah, so because we had the court, court in name only. We had the court, right? Trials, and then so basically the winners just judged us, right? Judged us losers, and then we as a loser, it's a bad sound, loser country. We lost the war, we lost. And among us, we never ever had this, like, we don't have the agreement as a nation. You know what I mean? Like, I can't explain it well, but back then, the army and also navy, they were not communicating with each other too, like just different forces, and they have their own like historical views, and those who live on mainland, like women and children, they have their own point of view, and everyone is just thinking about the war differently, and we are not like, we don't have this national way of thinking about the war. So if you, because we don't do that, we are not learning the lessons, right, as a nation, and that's not good. But our politicians are busy doing other things. Anyway, up early for you. Hello. Thank you. I don't want the Japanese hurt. Yeah. Mago said the bomb saved lives as opposed to invading the islands. If North Koreans, if North Korea can have nukes, then Japan and South Korea should probably have nukes as well. Yeah. What's interesting is that South Koreans want nuclear weapons, and it's showed on polls, but Japanese people, because of the history and the wrong reading of history, we somehow don't want nuclear weapons. But thankfully, though, the technology is advancing, and there are more powerful weapons too, like using the sounds and what else? Oh, magnetic field and so on. Like, our technology is changing, so if we can have that sort of weapons, it's maybe enough, like realistically speaking. Civilians suffer the most. I agree. And it's like, what sometimes people don't think about, like when I look at the arguments in the world, what I don't like about it is that people just mix up everyone, like unarmed civilians and armed soldiers and so on, or terrorists. People talk about all these different groups of people the same. So like when I look at Middle East, for example, I see that those terrorists are mingling among the unarmed civilians, and they hide in schools and so on. And then when Israel attacked them, they're like, oh, Israel is evil. I'm like, don't do that. So, yep. Anyway, did you know that creator of the Nobel Peace Prize invented dynamite? Who was it? Is it? I forget. I think I've seen the information, but I didn't really care. Yeah. What I don't like about Nobel Peace Prize is the literature. They have literature award as well, right? And how does it work? Like, literature includes like the sounds and rhythm and in their own languages and so on. Hey Yoko, hello. Thank you for coming. Human Shield, yes. Well, I'm a Zionist, so we agree. Cool. I've been seeing a lot of videos of foreigners being disrespectful and destructive in Japan. I'm very sad. I hope Japan addresses this. Me too. It's been getting worse. Like a lot of foreigners that care about Japan talk about like immigrants, like immigrant policies and so on, but it's what we are concerned about rather is the instant damages caused by over tourism. But even the immigration policy thing, that you guys like to talk about, even about Japan, even that for us is just another economic problem. The majority of Japanese people do not want immigrants. It's just, it's not even political. It's just a matter of preferences. And we love Japan being Japan, and it's just how it is here, right? Like, we know the good side of that. And there are some crazy leftists that say like, oh, Japan needs diversity, blah blah blah. but the majority of Japanese people know that we are already diverse, and that's what we are proud of. Some people, overseas, like I was getting replies last night on X too, that diversity is bad and blah blah blah. And I want you to know that our cultural backgrounds are different. We are like conservatives are proud of our diversity, just not ethnicity. That race-wise, the majority are Japanese. And you guys are talking about that, but we are talking about different diversity. You know what I mean? Like beliefs and culture and that sort of things. But anyway, so in economy, so Japan's economy was good until the 80s. And in the 90s, the bubble exploded. What's that word? Bubble was over, right? When I was like 6 or so. So all I know, with my experiences too, is that our economy has been in recession. Just bad. Somehow growing as a country, developing as a country, but still the economy is bad. And everybody is having a hard time just making a living here, unless you are an officer or something, or teacher, those who are paid by the country, like with tax money. Unless you're one of those, or unless you have a really good job at a big corporation or something. If you're not one of those, then you are having a hard time, just to buy foods here now. Yeah. And so it's really bad. And all they need to do is to reduce the amount of taxation, especially like consumption tax, for example. When I was born, there was no consumption tax, right? But when was it? In the 90s or so? It started with 3%. And then Shinzo Abe, like, here's the problem. Okay, foreigners, it's great that you guys care about Abe and, love him. He was a charismatic leader, but even he couldn't win the battle against our Ministry of Finance. And he had to, before him, maybe, was it? Maybe before him, it was already 5%. And then 8%, and now it's 10%. So if I buy like $100, then it's like $10 is the tax. It's crazy. So you can cut that sort of taxes, so that when things get cheaper, or less expensive, then we can afford it and we will buy the same amount, right? And so then it will boost the economy. That's what a small portion of conservatives believe now. So you can do stuff like that, but like those business people, they don't really think about the country, how the society should be, and so on. They don't have any ideals like that. They just want to change, changing, somehow all these business people or left-wing type of people, they believe that change, just like Obama, change is a good thing. I'm like, how do you know, right? But that's just how they believe, right? What they believe in. So those business type of people push foreigners for labor, cheaper labor. And so that's when immigrant policy comes up in Japan. But it's all about economy. But if we can come up with the ways to make our economy better, then we will not need foreigners. Even for tourism, we are pushing tourism because our economy is bad. So for now, our government wants foreigners to come and drop their money to Japan. That's what they're thinking. We don't really care about, at the bottom of our heart, if I may be frank with you. It's about economy. And people like Elon Musk is interested in why birth rate in Japan is low. Actually, in South Korea, it's lower. But Japan is a very a big country, so people care. As for Japan, the majority of, the polls show that the reason why the majority don't want kids is because they cannot afford. They plan things ahead, unlike the people in slum or something. We plan ahead and they calculate and they realize like, oh, we already have 2 kids. We want one more, but we can't afford it. Type of situation. Married people that already have children can have children, right? They have the good chemistry physically and so on. They can do it, but the economic situation doesn't allow them. So anyway, I am giving you all this information. Can somebody give me super chat? Because I'm giving this for free and it takes time, energy, and all this cost to, be able to say what I can to you. I'd appreciate your super chats. Where's Bird Up? Bird Up is missing lately. He's too busy for me now. Forward words now. Fuel air bombs. That sounds scary. I felt it was offensive. Yeah. Okay, I read that. Let's see, jump here. I'm using my iPad to live stream, by the way. I need to clean the fans of my laptop, but we like both my husband and I use the same laptop and we need that. So there's no time to clean that, have it cleaned. So I don't know what to do. I wish that I could afford a new computer. I love Yoko's knowledge and perspective. Very interesting. Oh, thank you. South Korea has the worst birth rate now. Yeah. Yoko, I noticed you have 2 Twitter accounts. Which one is the one you use? Sometimes I want to copy you on which one is best. I have 2 Twitter accounts. I have only one, Random Yoko. But there's Random Yoko 2, I think, on there. I made it to be a backup. And there might be some copycats. I have no idea. If you guys want me to follow your rules, more than happy. So, South Korea is such a big deal. Like, this is yesterday about South Korea. You can't really see from this, but isn't yesterday's newspaper probably had them on the front page too? See? Oh. See? South Korea. This is South Korea, Hankook. Leading party, governing party. What's the word? Leader. Impeachment. Pro impeachment, but he changed his mind though. I really don't like the leader of the governing party of South Korea because I can't tell that sort of politicians, like he's only thinking about his own career. So like he's betraying his president. And the party leader isn't even he's not even elected by the people. He's just there as a leader of the party. Over here, like today, Yoon president, let me use Trump. President Yoon. Impeachment failed. And there's Yoon's face here. And the National Assembly, the voting happened. It's on the front page here today. And boop, looks like that today. Yep. And whenever something happens, Japanese newspaper usually have a visual, visual aid of chronological order. So yeah, it's good. So What Yoon did with martial law isn't something that people will be proud of, and some people are saying that it's not good. It's not a good thing for democracy and so on. But for Yoon, it's like liberals stole the election to begin with. Oh, super chat! Thank you from MAGA to MJGA. Thank you so much. It's your first time of super chat. Thank you so much. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. So I'll remember your name. Sesi Umukid. Thank you. Okay. So where was I? Yoon is oh yeah, stolen. The election is stolen. This is, I want to read a part, you know. Okay. So like simultaneously, like so they declared martial law. You know, Yoon declared martial law, and in the meantime, they're simultaneously like they collected the phones of the opposite parties, like leftist phones. And also this one says that they went into the server room to check the security camera of the election building, and then they got information about election to see if they committed frauds in the past election. So like they're fighting against this fraud, you know, of national elections. So in order to do that, like it says here too that oh, super chat, thank you so much. Let me get to that in a minute. Election fraud suspicion. Like looking for like, how do you say that in English? To prove, like they're trying to prove the fraud of election is the title. I'm not making it up. It's just how it is, you know. And then, all things combined, the party leader too. The party leader is protecting himself probably for not supporting President Yoon, you know, for his martial law. But if he falls down, the party leader's future falls too, right? But I guess he's finally learning. So President Yoon, impeachment didn't happen. So that's good. So he is conservative leaning. Yoon is the good guy in the big picture. He has problems, right? His wife has problems, and he's not truly conservative when it comes to values, you know. Like you and I, we are conservatives, but he was not even a politician. Prosecutor, right? Former prosecutor. That even prosecuted the conservative President Park, right? And so he's not really conservative, but in the Korean society, he is the conservative side. And if his administration falls, what that means is that his opposition party leader is like a criminal. And he'll be sentenced in 6 months or so, and that's why they had to hurry to do something, you know, to push him. So that's why there was a storm of scandals and so on, just like the leftists are doing in the US, you know, like Trump is indicted, right? Just like that, like they stir all these scandals and so on to put Yoon in a bad place so that he will resign. That's what leftists are doing in South Korea as well. And the leftists in South Korea are very pro-North Korea. What the if that happens, seriously, like the leftists in South Korea, those pro-North Korea leftists in South Korea, they want to open Seriously, they too, those leftists too, they want to open the borders, they want to be swallowed to North Korea. Often when Westerners, especially those who don't really those who are not very familiar with like East Asian situation or Korean situation, they usually talk about unification in a good way. Of course, if North Korean side was if that side collapses and if South Korea can take them, like swallow them into South Korea, that's ideal. But what it looks like today is that there's a high possibility that North Korea would come in to South Korea and take them. And we don't want that to happen. So, yeah. Oh, Super Chat, thank you. Sorry I'm late. What did I miss? A lot of things. But no, we briefly talked about Pearl Harbor at the beginning and World War II and Trump and South Korea and so on. Oh, let me get to this one. Why can I not press heart? Okay. Appreciate you. Do you think with Trump in office that we will be a better trading partner with Japan and less with China who rip us off? This is something that I covered last week, but you know how Trump is strict on Mexico and Canada? Japanese companies such as Toyota, for example, they have factories in those countries. So if Trump imposes, put tariffs on those, like very tight tariffs onto those countries, then we will get affected as well. Yeah, the bad side of globalism, I guess. But it's hard to tell, especially because I'm not an expert on economy. But with Trump in office back in, like the first term of his administration, I didn't really feel anything negative, because what happens in trade, I guess, is that it's either way, sometimes imports are doing well, other times exports are doing well. And when imports are good, exports are bad, and when exports are good, imports are bad, right? If I understand it correctly. So I'm not too worried about it, but yeah. But people are saying that, that like Japan is not the exception, like we might get caught up in that sort of situation. So, but we are not blaming Trump though. We are saying that we need to be prepared, to probably to talk it out with Trump's side. And also, I'm not an economic person, so I don't know, but maybe there are ways to protect themselves or something. But it's a good question. Thank you. But as for ripping China off, I personally don't care if I suffer or not. If we can make the current regime fall, then that's good, because Xi Jinping is he even changed the laws, right? It's his third term now. In China, you are supposed to have only 2 terms at most. Now he's in the 3rd term, basically being a dictator. Even though they had the system of 7 people, as executives, he got rid of all the enemy type, and that's why we can't read what's going to happen either. And he's basically a dictator now, and also expansive. He wants to it's public. It's public information that she has clearly stated before that he wants to, Pacific Ocean is broad, big enough for 2 countries to conquer, America and China. And he's ignoring Japan because he wants to take over Japan and then come to your side up to Hawaii. It's great. He says that with a straight face. It's been happening since 2008 or so, though. It's not only his dream, that's just the Chinese communists' dream. Yeah, it's very scary. Not a ton of people, but I've met a few. Tokyo is huge. I've been 7 times and I haven't seen the entire city. Yeah. There was this post on X recently. Like this guy asks questions to people on X, and like it's like a survey basically. And somebody asked, basically the guy asked if there is somebody that that has like a Tokyo dream, what kind of reality would you want to tell the person? Tell the people with Tokyo dream, like, oh, in Tokyo I'm gonna do this and that, and basically like successful story like American dream. And I saw a picture of like people showing like it's a picture of mountains and so on, and they're like, this is Tokyo. Like rural looking areas too. This is Tokyo too. And it's so true that Tokyo, like I have helped gubernatorial election in Tokyo before in 2014. So that's like 10 years ago. Wow, I'm growing old. But yeah, 10 years ago, I got to be in the van of one of the candidates. So I toured around Tokyo, and I was actually surprised to see that there are a lot of like non-urban, like it's worse than here where I live in Fukuoka Prefecture in southern area, basically like Kyushu Island. I live in Kyushu Island. Yeah, it's worse than that in some places, and the buildings are so old that in Japan it's said that the big, like really enormous earthquake that happens just underneath Tokyo will happen sometime, and it's a matter of time. Like it will happen, we just don't know when. So that's why Japan is rebuilding all the buildings, as much as we can. But I don't know if we have enough time to, redo everything. In my area though, where I live, Fukuoka, we have our center cities are like, we have 2 areas that are big, but one of them is called Tenjin. And the Fukuoka city has a project called Tenjin Big Bang. And so they seriously, like they tore down the buildings that were still like we were using it, but it's getting older. They broke them, like they tore them down, and then they are rebuilding, like literally building something new there. Big Bang. So it's like getting reborn, and I bet that it works good. And I think I heard that they have the room for evacuation too, because we know that many things happen, like pandemic freaking happened, pandemic happened, and also natural disasters like typhoons and earthquakes happen all the time. So they have this place to evacuate, and also there's this new space that they got too, and they are using as a storage to have foods and water and so on in emergency. So we are getting better, and related to that, I have to tell you that sometimes, like for people from overseas, they say that Japanese people are like good-hearted, or we know like high civilization or something like that. I appreciate those words, but we are like that. We care so much about the public, and we cooperate so much with each other, and we are good to each other. Why? Because we need to do that to survive in a country full of natural disasters. Seriously, like this year, This year, on the very first day of the year this year, it started with a freaking earthquake, a huge earthquake in Noto area. I can't, it's really sad. Like, earthquakes in Japan are really tough. Like I was, I was visiting my parents' house. Because we visit both sides of our parents' houses. And that day I went to my parents' house, like, oh, Happy New Year. And it was gonna be a happy day. And then all of a sudden on TV, we see this like NHK people kind of freaking out and giving pressure to just, run away, the tele underneath, like, run away now. And the announcer is screaming, like crazy. We had never heard anyone, an announcer or anchor yelling like that. But she was actually trained to do that because that kind of like high emotion tells us something like, oh, something is wrong, right? Like we have to escape. So that was the beginning of this year. Oh. So in order to survive in a situation like that, a lot of disasters and your houses get damaged and so on too. So you need to cooperate with your surroundings, right? So you can't be selfish. You have to be nice to others, or else you might not get the foods, right? So, yeah. What's up, Yoko? What up? Let's see. Any questions? Tokyo is best, Osaka is garbage. That is harsh. I went to a university in Osaka, actually. It didn't fit me. But I have a feeling that Americans would like it there. They might not like the appearances because it's a little dirty, I think, in like central Osaka. Like Tokyo is clean. At least the city part, like they do a lot of constructions to make it better. Osaka is still behind, I think, when it comes to that. But there are a lot of people, and Osaka people have a different culture. They just do. They're like a rebellion, basically. Because, for example, in Japan, it's bad now, but Japanese people, when we use transportation, we have escalator, right? Or any malls or anything too. When there's an escalator, we Fukuoka people, or like those who are outside of Osaka, we stand on which side now? Left side. The escalator, like a stairs, right? We stay on the half of like this is let's say this is escalator, right? And there, right? You stand on one side in Japan somehow. I don't know when it began, but when I was in university, it was already happening. So I remember that here in my prefecture, we stand on the left side so that people can climb up if they are in a hurry, right? And when I went to Osaka, I had to stand on the opposite side. And and how when you have a meal, we have miso soup, rice, and the main dish and so on. Only Osaka people lay it out in a different way. And also they are super duper funny though. Very verbal, like verbal, funny, like really unique culture. And I think it's a little close to Americans in a way. I feel they're very bold and so on. But for non-Osaka people, it's like a little too much, I can't explain it well, but yeah. Yoko should be at the inauguration. Yeah. Send me, guys. Make me famous or give me money. So the very first video that got me known in the American community was the video I posted on YouTube in 2000, I think it was 16. It was about, you know, like asking Trump to invite me for his inauguration. People were not, like, he was not even the serious candidate at the time, I think. So I did it early on. And then I made Notice Me Trump Senpai video in school uniform that I actually bought at a store called Donkey. They have lots of cosplay uniforms and so on too, so I bought one there. Wore it, even though I was hitting my 30s. I wore it, made a video in a silly tone, and that's the beginning of my Trump supporting journey. Yep. Not much people in Tokyo speak English. It's not a Tokyo issue, it's a Japanese issue. That's why you should praise me. It's funny that because I speak English, some people started like a conspiracy theory, you know, like one of the replies that I got on X, somebody said like, oh, you believe that, oh, you support Ukraine and then you speak English, so you must be ... Like, what are you saying? Anyway, I should talk about politics, right? This front page is saying like in global politics, international politics, like it's done by force. It's happening a lot. I wonder what the ideal politics is. What I think is, you know, great about Trump is actually that, you know, like what's interesting looking at America and Russia and other countries from another country is that Democrats despise leaders like Xi Jinping or Russia. I'm like that though. I'm a conservative, but I'm like that, right? Like I'm like Xi Jinping, Putin, they're our enemies, right? Kim Jong-un too. They're our enemies. Rah! That's our stance. Democrats are like that in the US. But Trump, what's unique about Trump is that he does respect, like Democrats bash him for it, but Trump is respectful of, he respects Kim Jong-un or Putin or Xi Jinping. And that's super duper diplomatic in a way, even though Democrats are, you know, they don't like Trump for doing that. But actually that's why like Putin or Xi Jinping or Kim Jong-un, like they get a sense like, oh, this guy gets it, right? Like it's easier to talk to him. And for Trump, the newspaper was pointing out lately that for Trump, it's easier for him too. I don't know if you agree with this, but I saw one analysis that it's easier for Trump if those leaders are, was it from a book that I read? Maybe this book? I'm not sure what I read, took it from, but dictators can answer to any question. It's his country. He decides what to do, and everybody listens to him. Like he's absolute, right? So if you talk to a dictator to make a deal, that's it. It's done, right? And if those dictators respect you because you respect them, then you have a good negotiations and good relationship as well. And yeah, deals can be made based on your preferences. So that's the aspect that I saw somewhere. I don't remember where. So that was interesting. So what I realized is that Democrats are they can be discriminative. Democrats can be discriminative because they care about human rights, and you might think like they give you the impression that they are there for the people, like all kinds of people. They care about anybody's human rights, but in reality, they don't understand different cultural values. And if other countries are not a democracy, then they despise those countries, and they want to change the regime and so on. And if there are fellow Americans that admire them for being a leader and so on, then they disrespect those people, like Trump, those people too. And it's like, if you look at what they are doing truly, that is pretty discriminative, because it's basically what they're saying is that what's different from them are bad, and they want them to change, right? So that's something that I think about lately. Have you seen the video of Trump march in Japan? Yeah, it has happened many times here. But those are religious groups, people. Normal Japanese people don't have march like that. There was a guy passed out in the middle of the sidewalk once. Everybody just went around him, noticed nobody bothered him. Is the sumo community big in Japan? Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's on our national television when it's in the season. I'm not familiar with sumo, but basically people love to watch it. Just like baseball. We like baseball, soccer, and sumo, I think. At least that's what I see on TV often. Yeah. And in Kyushu, like in my place, they have matches too. So people come to see and so on. Here's another thing about diversity. In sumo, there are a lot of Mongolians wrestlers. Mongolians, but they speak Japanese, so probably that's why foreigners don't really notice it. Like Westerners don't notice it, but because we look the same pretty much. But yeah, a lot of Mongolians. There's one Ukrainian sumo wrestler too. And again, we just let it happen. We are thankful because like what we care about is the customs and the rituals and so on, that we want to just keep it. What our ancestors were doing, we want to do it. We want to continue. That's we conservatives think. So even if their blood is foreign, if they know what they're doing, just like us, then we don't see problems, So we are like, yeah, go, and cheer for Mongolian wrestlers, sumo wrestlers. It happens all the time. So that's a tricky part of Japan. The reason why Japan is peaceful is because we co-live, even with the nature. It's seriously, nature tells you everything about how countries, in each country, how people behave, In Japan, we fear the nature. And so it's like we respect the nature, but largely because we are afraid of the nature, what nature can do to us. Because as I said, there are lots of natural disasters in Japan. And we have many gods. Why? because we are afraid. We're like, oh, please don't cause any more disaster, please. And we're begging, right? that's seriously, we fear our gods. Sometimes, not all gods, but often. There was a case too, this samurai, one samurai, I believe, was like, after he was killed, a lot of weird incidents happened. So they decided to make a shrine for him, and then everything just calmed down. So like, we have a lot of experiences like that, like, oh, we need to respect everybody. That's why even the Mongolian Empire, what's called Mongol Empire, they have come down to Japan before. When they were at their peak, they sent troops consisting of like Chinese, Koreans, and Mongolians. They came to Kyushu, like my prefecture, Fukuoka, you know, and then there were some bodies of them, you know, they like we basically like pushed them away, our people. So there were bodies of the enemies, and then we established this memorial. It's still there. You can visit it today too. Like my husband and I, we actually take our Mongolian friends to there too. But yeah, so we do that. Why? Because we fear, even though it's a respect too. But other side of that is that we fear. So why am I talking about it? I forget. How did you learn English? Oh, super chat. Wait. Super chat, thank you. Is immigration being pushed in Japan like it is in the US or EU? I'm not familiar with how they are pushing in your country, so I'm not sure. But I talked about it earlier a little bit, but it's due to our economy and nobody wants immigration. Like if you ask like, oh, do you want immigrants? We say no. Crazy leftists, the small portion of people, I think. Or it's rather like how you ask the question, I guess. You know, do you want, like if the media asks our people like, do you think it's good to have the diversity? They're gonna say yes. Do you think that if they ask, do you think it'd be nice to, you know, have foreign people in your country? Then they'll say yes. But after showing them like the crime videos committed by foreigners here in Japan, and if you ask them like, what do you think? You know, then they're gonna say like, oh, foreigners don't, you know, obey our rules, that's bad, I don't want them there, and so on. Japanese people are very like fluid and they don't really know, like I'm different. I'm pretty opinionated, but I'm actually the minority in Japan, and the majority of Japanese people are usually, they don't even know what they're thinking about. But usually, though, they don't like, it's not that they don't like foreigners, they just don't like those who do not follow rules. So it's not really about the race, I think, in the end. But I bet that there are, you know, polls and so on too, but yeah, immigration. Let me ask my husband what he thinks. Hey, husband! 日本のイミグレーションはですね、日本に対してアメリカや EU で行われているように押されてますか？その移民政策がプッシュされてるか、日本に対して。アメリカとか EU みたいに。そっちを知らんかな。アメリカとかヨーロッパはどうなってるか知らないけど、移民政策を基本的にやってない。Japan is not pushing immigration policy fundamentally. Only comes up. Like it's increasing little by little, but as a governmental level, we are not pushing that. It's not like that. Yeah. And that's why you don't hear that from us. Like, I never talk about immigration much at all. I talk about over tourism and all the problems happening with the people that are already here. There are, of course, loopholes and so on. But when it comes to immigration, by the way, the immigrants to Japan are usually Chinese, South Koreans, Vietnamese, and so on. Those are the three main people, and also Brazilians, because they are factories of Toyota and so on, like around them somehow Brazilians are there, probably for labor, cheap labor, but yeah. Somebody asked how I learned English. Studied in school, learned the grammar, and I have my way of studying, like my ears are good, so like I first learned, like first of all, grammar is important, just grammar, study grammar like you do in school, and then learn the sentences, the example sentences, and just memorize it perfectly. Just, you don't have to think about why is this and that, just remember everything, and then understand the meanings, and then change the words around to make it your own sentence so that it will be perfect. Don't try to think, many people try to darkly translate things, and that's why they sound unnatural. What I do is I replace words in my head. It's like a puzzle. So that's what I do. And as for pronunciation, I used to record myself because my ears were good, so I already knew the perfect sounds of English. And so I would record myself and listen to it and criticize it like somebody else. Because I'm such a good critic, I can criticize people easily. So I just had to see myself objectively. So recording was good. I should do that more because I know, like, when I look back my archives of these live streams, I can hear my accent and I'm like, meh. But yeah. And also, the fast way is to date somebody because it gives you the necessity, and you can do it online too. Yeah. I've had, except for the very first boyfriend, I have only dated Americans before my husband. So, of course. Let's see. What else? Just checking. We will make Canada and Greenland a deal. They can't refuse to be part of USA. Yeah, somebody was talking about like Trump did mention making Canada the 51st state or something, right? Some people were taking it seriously. I went to a baseball game in Tokyo, almost got hit by a ball. Wow. I can tell the difference between most East Asians immediately. Oh, cool. That's impressive. I can too, mostly. Sometimes though, Japanese people, like when I look at people, I sometimes think, oh, like, are they Koreans? And it turns out to be Japanese because like young people nowadays copy the fashion of South Koreans. It's their trend, Oh, super chat, thank you. It's your first time. アメリカからこんにちは。こんにちは。ようこさんの考えは面白くてたくさん学んでいます。ありがとうございます。ここで遅くなってすぐに寝ます。寝るんかい寝るんかい。日本とアメリカは頑張りましょうね。頑張りましょう。So hello from America. I'm interesting. Thank you. My idea is interesting, and the person is learning a lot but going to sleep. Yes, Japan, USA forever. Yes, it's really important that Japan and the US are close because China and Russia, they don't like it. We gotta do, of course, I love America personally, of course, as you can tell. But politically speaking, it's important that we are together because our technology too are amazing. And Taiwan too, man, like Chinese side, like authoritarian side is bullying them. You know how Taiwan doesn't have official connections with other countries and it was limited, but because of China's pressure, it's decreasing. So we gotta protect Taiwan. And Americans often, like Trump included, when they look at Taiwan, what they can think of is a microchip. But it was informative though that I was reading this book about America's, like, why Americans are against China and so on. Like it shows the history of how things have shifted. But it was Steve Bannon that was explaining how, it's not, it's of course like Taiwan has a lot of the majority of microchip industry, like they have the advanced technology and they are, they're the dominant, like what's the word, like our microchips are basically Taiwanese, right, in the world. So of course it's important to protect them. And also he was talking about some geography, the straits and so on. Was it Taiwan Strait? I don't exactly remember which one that was, but yeah. So they care about Taiwan geography, geographically wise. I'm forgetting English. Yeah. So yeah. As for me in Japan, though, I feel something extra too. Like I see as, like, for America, you don't have to really care about their expansion, but for us, if Taiwan is taken, then we become next to China, right there, So it's like you don't want to give land to your enemy, and you don't want to expand your enemy, because the front lines keeps coming to you. So yeah, Japan is. Oh, by the way, there was a Taiwanese movie about being invaded by China, like a really realistic scenario. How many days was that? It was. I feel like it was titled with a days, like 10 days or something like that. I need to see that. I saw the trailer of that. Let's see. Oh, I've been talking for such a long time. If you don't give me super chat, I have to end. Time flies when you're having fun. This month, December, is actually in Japanese. It's spelled shiwasu, and it means teachers running. So it's like as busy as teachers run. That's what December means in Japanese. But we have a saying of like October, November, and December just running away, though. It's just this season, time flies. That's what I feel when I'm talking to you guys too. Oh, super chat, thank you. So I guess I'm gonna stay for a while. If you visit USA, would you try to go on a podcast like Timcast? It would be nice. It would be nice. Of course, like I would, if that interests Americans, of course, I'd love to be on any live stream. Yeah, but I might get attacked though for being too Japanesey and having different perspectives or opinions. Anything else that I need to talk to you about? Oh, this was interesting about TikTok. I wanted to talk about this. EU, TikTok. What's that? Not survey, but like researching. So, like in Romania, allegedly TikTok was manipulating the information. So, I think that's probably what it says. I didn't really fully read it, but yeah, they used TikTok like on social media. They used it a lot, and so they want information regarding that and checking. So that was interesting because TikTok is big in Japan too. Like all these young kids, like teenagers, they are on TikTok. It's interesting how teenagers use X as well, but the majority like Instagram the most. Instagram and TikTok are what teenagers like a lot. And and X, young people use X too. Not Facebook though. Facebook is so outdated now. And somehow my husband's post began to lose like exposure. Probably like he was getting like 100 or a few hundreds likes and so on, like around there whenever he posted something. It decreased by far, but only after he published, like he wrote a book and it was published, and his book is about the collapse of Russia. So the timing matches, after his book was published, he lost the, getting likes on Facebook, meaning exposure is, fading. And yeah. As for X, the problem that I'm having is just like I said last week, it's the pornographic advertisement. And when I say that, people overseas tell me that it's not happening in your country. So it's probably because of our really, really free country. Nothing is regulated. The advertisement has been really a problem. Like not just like pornographic advertisement on X, but also there are like this like scams, using they have in Japan there are advertisements that use celebrities' face and name to make people invest in some kind of project, they have, I don't know what it is, but I hear that it's about investment. So they probably just use the fame and credibility of the famous people here, and then make people pay, right, for them. And then it's been a problem, but it's the problem of advertisement. So our people have have told that to Facebook. I guess they are suing them. I'm not sure. I'm not following that, but there are moves like that. I heard about that. It's been happening for years. It became intense like at the end of November. Everybody's talking about it here. Like those who are having issues, The reason why those advertisements comes up on my feed, even though I'm a female, is probably because I'm following somebody. This account that I like for political contents, he posts some like a female, like sexy photos as well, and probably he follows all this other crazy sexual accounts. So probably I'm tied to him, because I like his posts on politics, but it's probably counted as I'm liking other contents that he posts. Is Chinese and Japanese language similar? Not at all. In writings, like in their characters, we can kind of get what they're saying because we use the same structure. But when it comes to just language itself, the sounds are so different, the cultural backgrounds are different, and yeah, totally different. And I think that Korean language is in the same order as us. Yeah. The crazy part is that this might be offensive to Koreans, but you know, when we annexated, like annexation, when we had Korea, they didn't have a language that was what was written like nationwide, and it was Japan that had the system to teach them their own language. So that's good that they speak the same language now. Yeah. Yep. And they their words like their sentences are formed in the same order. Somebody replied to me to my post about Turkey, and the person was saying that the Turkish language and Japanese language is like cousins. That's interesting. I'm not familiar with linguistic. I keep seeing Gladiator 2 as so peaceful. Unfortunately, they had to take the advertisement money. Yeah. I don't use social media, so I don't have to see those as cool. Also, Japan uses 3 alphabets. Chinese is only one of them. Yeah, that's so true. Our language is so complex that sorry for my throat. Our language is so complex that even we often don't know how to read the characters or how expression like a certain expression means and so on. Like you have to be a real bookworm to understand everything. But even if you do, there are still words that you don't know in Japanese. And that's a reflection, I guess, of our long history. Yeah. Like what it looks like, by the way, is like looks like this. You know, lots of kanji, hiragana, katakana. Yeah. Somehow foreign people like katakana. I don't know why. Will Japan's birth rate get better? I think so if the economy gets better. Definitely. But as many are pointing out in the West, of course, like our modern way of living is damaging. You know, like people are, it's their choice, right? For women to live freely or whatever. But I think it's a matter of like how we promote the policy though, because I think women are actually simple. They just like whatever looks good, you know? Like it's women are very like visual oriented creatures. So if you produce videos and so on, like content to show how amazing to raise a family or how cute children are and how cool it is to be a responsible mom and so on, if you promote you know, ideas like that, then females would love that. They are going after all this like choice and freedom and so on because they believe that it's the cool thing to do. They believe that it's the trend. So if you change the trend, they will follow that. So I'm not too like pessimistic when it comes to birth rate because we are all humans. We are so simple-minded. Yeah. And for that, I like some conservative women, you know, Christian women in America that post very feminine very American, like old school videos, like they wear this one piece, like a dress, and very put together, cute. And then they live in somewhere that's suburb or countryside, like away from the urban cities, and they like to take care of the household, like what's it called, a homemaker. It's not a housewife now, it's a homemaker. So I think there was this girl, Mrs. Midwest, was cool. Like I liked her, and I was watching her for a while. Yeah. English is a mess. English is often like French and so on. Like it's like a memoir, capiche, or what else? What is per se? I hear per se often. And yeah. There are a lot of like borrowed words in English, and often when I look up English words, I do it every day actually still, and I'm like, how do you read that? Latin? Oh, it's Latin. Homemaker is an old term over 100 years old. Oh, that's the old one. And housewife and so on are the new words. I like the sound of homemaker. It's like homemaker. It's like very round and like warm. That's the Japanese perception. Japanese people, we are such a nerd when it comes to our language. Like, I'm pretty sure that the majority of Japanese people can see colors and feel the temperature in words and so on. Probably majority of us do. Because when I see like, even English, like EU, I picture like green, and TikTok, like yellowish or orange, that sort of like strong, like bright colors and so on. Like it's an interesting thing. So you guys have that too, right? Like I think I've seen that like for example, there are words of subjects taught in school, like math, your English, science, chemistry, and blah blah blah, and you associate like a certain color, right? We do that here too. For me, Japanese is red, science is, math is blue, and science is green. Science is yellow. And what's the word? I don't know how to call that. Oh, no, society is green, and so on. Does Japan have geisha still? Yes, they do in Tokyo. Kyoto. French use it also same Latin origin. Oh, I see. Yeah, all this like English Western world, like you guys use each other's words. So Japanese people often use American English words as well. Nowadays there are more and more katakana, meaning like borrowed words. Even on newspaper, like there are a lot of like foreign words, and that's very interesting. But what's interesting is that sometimes like politicians or business people use like foreign words on purpose so that they can escape when they are criticized. Like there's like abstract English term is something that they use so that when somebody says, oh, but you said this and that, and then the guy can go like, oh, what I truly meant is this and that. So the definition is vague, so they use it. Is there a conservative party? What color are they? Yeah, somebody wrote blue. I think it's, yeah, the impression I get from like the kanji, the characters of our language of conservatives is bluish. Yeah. It's interesting. Anyway, no more super chat. I have to go. It's a sunny Sunday. I should go for a walk, I guess. It's 4 a.m. No, 4 p.m. Is there anything that... Oh, like in Australia, they banned social media under 16, right? That's such a bold move. As for this, about America too, TikTok, you regulate it. They are seeing, what are they talking about? To regulate TikTok, whether it's constitutional or not. It's not illegal or against it. Oh, Zabacha, thank you. Did you talk about Syria already? Russia lost its only port on the Mediterranean. They abandoned their client state just as Iran was unable to support Hezbollah. Russia's plan failed. Yeah, I did talk about it briefly. Yeah, because I didn't know, I talked it in a way that I didn't know how, like, the political dynamics in the world works, you know, because now Russia is busy. Their allies against Israel, like Iran and so on, they're busy. So they are on their own and they're pushed. So, yeah. Oh, it's a pacha, thank you. Are numbers, days, and months different colors as well? Do you categorize by smell, texture, and tone as well? Smell? Maybe not the smell, but smell, like, of course, we remember our memories. So maybe some people remember by that. Texture. I personally don't see texture. But tone and impression is there, like really hard, cold, or warm, that sort of thing, I think. Yeah. YouTube has a horrible AI that keeps changing spelling. Yeah, I noticed. I know that you didn't mean to do that, yeah. It happens to me too, especially when my fingers are kind of tremoling. Is there a conservative party? Well, oh yeah, I answered that. Blue was LDP when I see the poster. Oh, LDP color is actually red though. Do you guys have, how about your country? America has a mark or logo, but blue is the left side, right? Democrats. As for Japan, we have LDP, our governing party, is red. And Komeito, one of the other governing party, is pink. And Democratic Party for the People, a new party, is yellow and blue, like combined. Constitutional Democratic Party, I believe they are blue. But they do seem like blue. And the Social Democratic Party is like bright green or, oh no, maybe blue. I'm not paying attention to them, so I don't know. But yeah. And Japanese Communist Party, they are red, of course. So So they have set their own color as branding. Oh, super chat, thank you. Orange super chat for the orange man. Yes. I like orange after Trump now. Thank you. Thank you so much. I heard myself briefly from the laptop. I was like, what? What is this face, by the way? Trump has good teeth, though. Every time I'm impressed by Trump's teeth. So beautiful. So white. Japanese people care about teeth now, like just like the British, you know. Japanese people had the worst like teeth. Like it's not straight, you know. Rather, it was thought to be cute when they have like this kind of teeth sticking out and so on. But now, people were hiding their face here, wearing mask. We Japanese people, the majority of Japanese people are willing to wear masks. And even before COVID, we were wearing masks, right? And there are some women that use masks to basically to cover their face. So that's what we were doing. But when COVID-19 was finally like, you know, settling down, we had to reveal our faces, right? And when it was starting to happen, I heard on the news that people didn't take care of their mouth and so on very well. Or that because they are revealing now, they want to make it look good. So the dentist demand increased. So around that time, like until that time, Japanese people's teeth, you know, like even on TV, they were not white. And that's why I was like, I don't have the cleanest teeth, so I can't really judge them. But like if you see things on TV, you expect things, the people to be clean and so on, right? To be beautiful so that you can keep staring at them. But even they didn't have like very white teeth, like not all of them at least. But today, when you look at the people on TV, the majority have perfect teeth. It's beautiful. So like, it's interesting how it changed, you know, quickly. Finally, like that side, like the dentist culture or technology from America is something that can contribute to the world, I think. Because oral health is actually very important for your body. So I have a silver teeth here. I want to get rid of that one day. Yep. I feel like it's bad for my body, so. I know yours are great. What is? Elephant and donkey. Oh, yeah. Donkeys in real life are so cute. The English word for the world feelings you're describing is connotation, I think. Oh, difficult word. I gotta look it up. I like to look up words every day. I used to use like the paper dictionary when I was a student, you know, because we were not allowed to use like digital things back then. Some weird rules that we have in Japan. But every day I'm looking at phones now to, oh, I don't have the speaker. Connotation, okay. Hey, oh, yeah, I think so. That's the word I was looking for. Is there a word to describe it? That's interesting. Thank you. By the way, when I post on X, what I do, like, do you notice that my English is good on X? I mean, at least I'm trying, because I make so much efforts when I post on X, because it can be a hit and you don't want to embarrass yourself, right? So like I need to put together all the words in English mind, right? I write in my own English, and then I copy and paste that into a translation app, and then see the Japanese to see what I wrote actually makes sense. And then I reverse it to make the application translate the Japanese that I meant. And I see their version. And thus, I am comparing in my head, like the English that I wrote and the English that the application offered, because it's translated from me, it should mean like the same thing and also the same tone and so on. So I check like that, and often what application does, the translation they do is better or more natural than I previously wrote. So I use that one and so on. And also by doing that, I learn new patterns, and also it becomes more natural and so on. And that's why it takes like an hour to post a long post. I shouldn't write long posts, but I enjoy the process. So that's what I do. But yeah. Japanese teeth were not great in the 90s. No, they were not. And that's why I did straighten my teeth. But the thing is, I had like wisdom tooth on both sides of my upper jaw. So I recently actually pulled them out, but because they are too many teeth for my tiny face, my teeth were sticking out, and I still, yeah. And then, so I straightened them, and I had a retainer, but I wasn't using it for a while, so I got rid of it. But now I regret it because it's not as straight as it used to be. And until I pull those teeth out, like I had too many teeth too. So like even if I wanted to use that retainer, it wouldn't work well because I just have too many. Yep. Anyway. Okay. You speak better English than plenty of native English speakers, so don't worry. Thank you. You see me bothering her in her threads, John. Oh, no. No. Seriously, man. Disagreeing is not a good thing in Japan. At least just, like Americans are so blunt. American Democrats often criticize Trump for being too blunt, but he's just being American. Americans in general just speak their mind, like, man. How Japanese people communicate is that we form sentences beforehand, and we're like, can I say that? Should I say that? Oh, but maybe put this word beforehand so that I won't sound rude. And we think about everything beforehand. But Americans are like, yeah, you're this and that. Nah, 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 nah. You paid 18,000? Huh? That's a lot of money. 18,000ドルって凄まじいよね。100万ぐらい。200万。No, like you could buy a car. In Japan, thankfully, we have a national insurance system. Another thing that conservatives in Western countries would freak out. But yeah, we have a national, it is actually influenced by socialism because before the World War II even, I think, that socialism was already influencing Japan on the right side as well. On the right side, left side, like socialism ideology. It actually kind of has a good chemistry with Japan actually, because we have our Tenno emperor, right? And we patriots, we see Japan as a big one family with those emperor being our father-ish figure, like one family. So what that means is that we are equally children, right? So if you put that if you use socialism, it matches for us anyway. The top thing, like we, of course, it's threatening, so we shouldn't fully accept that, but it actually does have a good chemistry, and I guess that's why it was influencing our country. But because of that, we have a national insurance system. So yeah. But as for dentists, some cases it's within the insurance, other times it's not. So yeah. スーパーチャーありがとうございます。改めましてはじめましてデーレンと申します。よろしくお願いいたします。Happy to see 生配信イエーイありがとうございます。ありがとう。上手ですね。お上手ですね。日本語はみんな上手ね。I'm 上手ね。私の英語も上手ね。OK OK。Cool。ありがとう。How do you guys know Japanese? Like I didn't know that. Like I'm finding more and more like that there are actually many people in the world that speak Japanese. It's so weird because Japanese is the least language. Like I wouldn't study Japanese as a foreigner because it is so complex, even to me, a native speaker. So sometimes I find myself, understanding English better than Japanese because, like, when I watch political shows, for example, they're talking about complex things, and Japanese language is good for debating too, but it really depends on each speaker, how clear they are and what, like, the points of what they're speaking and so on. Some people are not very good at speaking to begin with, so because we don't get trained in school. Like I heard that in America you learn how to debate. In Japan we never have a class like that. We never get to learn how to debate. So yeah. And so when I see like people speaking on all these complex things, political things on TV or on like some YouTube show or something, I sometimes get confused, or like it's so hard to keep concentrating. On the other hand, the English speakers are usually like it's easy to focus. You're 44. When I was 19, I fell in love with the country, so I had no choice but to learn it. Oh, just like me. You're 44. How old is my husband? How old are you? I forget.
You?
何歳だっけ？
俺？38歳。
嘘はダメです。私が39で9足したら48歳。My husband is 48. Yeah, very old. No, because there is 44歳の人がいたからね。cool. この言語が大好きですから一生懸命日本語を勉強してます。素晴らしい。I learned at Gaidai. Me too. I went to Kansai Gaidai. I want to meet my teachers at my Gaidai foreign language school, university. Yeah, I only got to be in the program. Like it was a 2 years intense English teaching program at my university, and even though it's like meant for the university was meant for foreign language studies, the good program was only 2 years long, because after 2 years you were supposed to study abroad and then come back. I didn't study abroad because I was busy partying and dropped from the program. So that's why I studied everything in Japan, I was depressed, I was desperate. Anyway, so I studied it, and I had American and Australian teachers. My English was okay back then too. Like I was able to speak my mind already at the age. Um, However, my English is getting better and better. I hope. And I know that my English wasn't at this level, at least, compared to when Trump began to run for the race back in 2015. So now, if I look back, my old videos from back then, I'm like, this is weird, you know? So, oh, Super Chat, thank you so much. Do Americans get a gaijin pass and can get away with rude language, or would you say most Americans use Japanese properly and respectfully? Yeah, I think American people are very like I can see the like sincere attitude that they're trying to speak it correctly. Like I think it's just beyond languages that you can just see when people are being serious and so on. But what I don't like sometimes though, that there are some people like that on X actually, that they they haven't even mastered the grammar, but they are like cursing in Japanese basically. Like we don't have a curse words, but like some expressions are too strong, you know. And like Japanese culture is interesting because we have the way of thinking, like we have a concept of so-called kotodama, meaning it's written as a words spirit. So literally everything in Shinto, our religion or custom, in everything, a spirit lives in everything. So even the words that we utter, we say, even the words have energy or spirits, you know. It really matches the science that is, you know, revealing how things work in our world. It's like I don't know how our people knew back then, but so like you guys don't want to jinx things, right? So it's something like that. Like if we say bad things, we are afraid that it's gonna turn into reality and so on. And also we know that if we call somebody like ugly and so on, it's gonna affect us too. So like because we believe in like reflecting each other like mirrors. So yeah, so that's why I don't want foreigners to use the Japanese like their language, you know what I mean? Like you have to learn the culture to altogether in order to speak. So like when I speak English, I'm like thinking like I'm trying my best to think like Americans, you know, because no offense to British or Australians, I just learned American English. So like I try to copy the culture and so on. And like if I was speaking English like Japanese culture, I would be like steady and hi, I'm Yoko. Hi. It's 4 p.m. here. Have a good night. Oh, you are going to sleep. Okay. They'll be like that. But I am speaking your culture with like as a non-verbal culture as well altogether when I speak verbally. So yeah. I wish that people would learn that as well, but Americans are good, you know, like we like Americans. There are some cases though today that due to over tourism, some people that shouldn't come here as well, just to travel around the world, and they are vandalizing our facilities and so on. So that's not good. But we do understand that those are special cases, and we know a lot of Americans. You know, there are American like famous public figures here in Japan as well. Many, many Americans here on TV and so on that speak Japanese. And we don't really care about their accent either. Yeah. It's interesting though. Some people on TV, you know, like Americans or other Westerners, at first, I mean, some people learn it, like they speak it like so fluently that like we don't see the difference as from us. But others are just so American, even decades later, you know. So it's so funny. Yeah. Marty Friedman, yes, exactly. DEI hires, no. As I keep saying, Japan is diverse. And we love like foreign figures and also like even LGBT type of figures on TV. Like we've had them all along, and even conservative people like them. Part of our culture, part of our society, and leftists are pushing all these legal like laws and so on, as if we don't have that. And because of that, there are divisions made in Japan. So they are bringing all this hatred. So that's really no good because our premises are different. You know, what happens in Japan for LGBT type of people, for example, is that I've heard, like I follow some like gay guys, you know, on X, and they have common sense, right? Because they made the efforts to co-live in that society, the strict Japanese society. And one of the gays here was sharing a story that his foreign friends, you know, came to Japan and, you know, stayed at a hotel together, right? And then they were surprised that they didn't get discriminated, you know, at the hotel. Like, oh, the hotel people were like, oh, two people, okay, name, address, okay, have a good time, you know. That's what happens in Japan, and they never get treated like according to the post, they don't get treated like that in their home country, and so therefore they were like surprised in a good way. And as a Japanese, when I hear that story, I'm like how wouldn't that happen? Rather, you know. But so we've been diverse, but it's just that some liberals want to copy what Americans or Europeans are doing. They just try to copy and paste everything to Japan. That's why they did BLM here, for example, a few years back. And it didn't spread. Why? Because there are not black people to oppress here. There are some black people in Tokyo and Osaka and all these urban areas, but in other regions in Japan is actually a big country. In Japan, like not, we don't have black people. It's less than 1%, I think. So like, we are like, what are you doing? You know? So, do you follow Milo Yiannopoulos? I used to. Yeah. I actually have a book. His book. But yeah, I stopped following him because I don't know. The things that he was showing as information was something that I didn't really feel like it was correct. 西洋文化をコピーペーストするのは絶対ダメだと思いますけれど、私もそう思います。Exactly. Everyone is always surprised that as long as a person has good manners and makes them an effort to speak the language, there's basically zero discrimination here. Yeah, so true. We are, as I said, you know, Japanese people, like us as natives, we know how difficult Japanese language is. So whenever like foreigners speak in Japanese, even just by a little bit, we're like, oh, how do you know? Like, we don't expect that because rather they are really pushy people from overseas that come here, especially like tourists, especially, that expect Japanese people to speak English and be fluent to serve them. And what they say is that it is because they are, they're the guests that Japanese government is basically inviting. Our government is pushing tourism, and so therefore we should be able to speak English. And they do have a point that we should be ready for what we are pushing, and that is actually a valid point. But Japanese people do not speak English. Like we do understand some writings and readings, but ordinary people do not speak. I am a special weird case, and so are those who were living abroad and then came back and so on. Those are special cases. In Japan, we have a society that just run by itself. We are part of the globalism system, but we have a good society, right? So, yes. Okay. But I don't see Ikko-san or Kaba-chan as much as Matsuko anymore. Their time is over. So impressive that you know them. I love Ikko. I actually, no offense to Christian people, but I'm in Japan and it's not threatening to your country, so just know that. And as for me, I love like gay people because their culture is so fun and uplifting because they go through such a hard time, Even though Japan, I want to say that Japan is diverse, but like gay guys it's probably because I'm a female. For guys, gay guys are kind of threatening because they are the targets of their sexuality, right? But for me, I love gay guys because I'm a female, but I used to be a tomboy. I still feel like I am. So when I look at them, I feel something similar, like they are guys, but they like guys, and but they are feminine too. And I'm a female. I'm very feisty. I often forget that I'm a female and so on. So like I feel some kind of, kind of common things from them, and like some kind of energy, I would say. So like that's why I actually follow a few gay guys there on X. My favorite is Kamataku, and he's a good gay guy with common sense. So LDP politicians actually talk to him. Like he has a big following on X, and also he has a YouTube channel with other two gay guys that don't look like gays actually. So sorry, my phone is like dirty. Let me show you what they look like. Sannin Kanjo. Like, see? Wait for the advertisement because I don't pay for YouTube. Like, these are gay guys, our gay guys. Look normal, right? They have common sense. And I like that sort of people. And they're so fun and really good for entertainment. But when I look at, and also there are some other kinds that want to appear like women, and they actually are very pretty. Like you could mistake, you would, you would, because they're so beautiful, Like Thailand gay guys too, they're beautiful, right? But somehow Western, like, I don't know what categories those are, if they are transgender or not, or just gay, I don't know. But they have beard and makeup at the same time, and they're chubby and beard. How? Where's the beauty, Like, those who don't have common sense, I don't think that they could co-live in the society with the rest of the people. And I think that they should, you know, at least like everybody, even like straight people are, we stop ourselves from like we are controlling ourselves to some extent, right? So they should like all this like LGBT people too, like they should have like they should control themselves too, like, you know, like I don't show up to a meeting with National Diet members like our congressman in like t-shirts and shorts, you know. I have the courtesy to put on some clothes and so on. And all these LGBT people should do the same, that to respect the others. It's not always about yourselves, it's about respecting others, you know. So like, at least shave and so on, you know. No one should be surprised when they see signs in the window, no foreigners. It's not a problem to be a foreigner. It's just that if you can't talk to your customers, what good is it? Like at least we have technology now and you can translate on your phone and so on. And they're like, but still like they impose, you know. Yeah. Japan has the least percentage of English speakers in the world, 2%? Seriously? Wow, under 2%. That is actually flattering for me. Wow, interesting. And foreigners take it as a bad thing. I take it as a good thing because languages work as a barrier. Language barrier. It's you often thought to be a bad thing, but it's actually the reason why our ancestors had dialects, make it hard for other groups to understand them, you know. So we are protected. Like it kind of sucks that what we are talking about, you know, on TV or on social media, it needs to be translated, and it's kind of annoying, right? Like people can't directly say things like I do. It's rare. But so like it's hard for outsiders to learn about Japan, but at least Japanese people, ordinary people, don't get exposed to foreign things. What that means is the foreign ideology like communism, socialism, and all this like LGBT in the wrong way, you know, all this push and immigration, open borders. Leftists speak English often. They're like academic type of people here. So they know what's going on in the world, and they write their ideas and what's happening in the world, in their liberal world, and then write Japanese articles or have a conference and speak it, you know, make a speech and so on. But ordinary Japanese citizens, they don't care about their academic field. They're just minding their own business. And so they don't get exposed to all these vicious ideas overseas. So we are protected. So that's why, like, whenever I hear, like, Japanese people should speak English more, I'm like, I think we need to think about it more. The big problem is that we don't even understand our own language well. As I said, like, people can't have a good debate to begin with in our own mother tongue too. So then what's the point in speaking English? Like, if you can't even speak in your own language to debate, then if you are an English speaker and if you can't debate, then you're gonna have a hard time, you know, and you're gonna embarrass Japanese people as well. So you don't wanna do that. So like, there are things that we need to do first, I think, before learning English. And history education is the most important thing because it affects a lot, like it influences our formation of identity as well. So yeah, like the video footage that I showed you, you know, it's an online show, a political show, and this Japanese chick from my prefecture as well, she said Fukuoka, Azusa Oga, I think. So as probably fluent in English. I didn't even check her video, but she had posted a video 6 years ago saying that the like something 6 reasons, how many reasons I forget, like this many reasons why I hated living in Japan, and now she lives in Canada, and she was on Abema TV the other day, and had a discussion about diversity, and she focused on the race diversity in Japan, and 96% aren't Japanese, so therefore Japan is not diverse. And so that was her point, and very superficial understanding, and basically bashing Japan. Yeah, that's bad. I forget why sometimes I'm rambling and I forget why I was talking about what I was talking about. Wanting them to speak English is propaganda for the great replacement. Yeah, I agree. Because there's no need for Japanese people to speak English. The thing that frustrates me as an English speaker is that I studied English, like I majored in English in university. And when I was graduating, I didn't see any good job in my prefecture. No jobs here. Like you say like, oh, it's globalism, and it's everything is like global, international, and English is needed and blah 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 blah. Yeah, probably in Tokyo or Osaka or maybe Nagoya, but here in Fukuoka we don't have jobs, especially on entry level. Like I saw some information like information about like jobs, and there was the requirement was like, oh, you need to have the experience of 2 years in trades and blah blah blah, and have to speak English. I'm like, I'm on the entry level. What am I supposed to do? So like, yeah, it's silly, because usually what you need English for is to give service to foreigners that visit here, or assistant to foreigners living here and that sort of things, unless you get into a huge corporation. So yeah, it's weird. I'm like, that push is unnecessary. After a long conversation, I'll ask, ところで英語がわかりますか? And they're like, 絶対ないです。Yeah, Japanese people don't speak it. They're like, because 6 years ago, I couldn't speak Japanese at all. Oh, that's dedication. That's cool. But 6 years and you can write like that. It's amazing. People are going to sleep. Let's see. If no more super chat, I think I have to go. Yeah. You could get so many jobs since you speak English. I could. What do I want to? I can only do what I'm doing, connecting with you and tell you about my political perspectives from here and so on. I actually write articles sometimes, I'm a journalist too. And my articles are published on Japan Forward, the conservative-leaning English news outlet, actually. Japan Forward. If you aren't following them, you should. They are on X. They deserve a better following, because they're so conservative. I should promote them more. They should pay me. But no, I would do it for free, because it's really good. Recently I wrote an article, and it just got published too. And yeah. 田舎のところだと社長も英語が喋れないですからね。Just English is not our thing. Go to USA embassy or consulate, maybe USA hire you. But I'm too Japanese to be hired by the US though. I love America, but like, I don't think they would like me to begin with. お、漢字が好き。いいですね。Yeah. Have you been to Japanese CPAC convention? Yes, every year since they started. But probably not this year because we have an event here. Yes. I'll tell Trump or Elon to hire you. That's a special case. But if I may be brutally honest with you though, I don't wake up in the morning, so I'm not, I don't think that I can work like a normal person. I can only probably work for online things. Yeah. I hate waking up early in the morning. Yeah. I think there are some researches done that say that, you know, it's decided by genes, you know, when you were born. It's not what we do. It's decided by our genes. This iPad keeps falling. Oh, okay. My wife worked for Canadian Embassy in Osaka. Whoa, cool. That's interesting. Yeah. I want to be at least invited to the US Embassy. I've never been there. But I bashed the current USA ambassador to Japan, Rahm Emanuel, so much. So much so that my commentary is cited a lot on Breitbart article. I'm criticizing him a lot. Rahm Emanuel is really, really bad. Just another Democrat that is looking down on Japan. So, yeah. But hopefully the next one is, I hope Trump picks somebody good. Yeah. Somebody pro-Japanese, like, yeah. And if during next Trump administration, I hope that I get to meet the ambassador somehow. Because my husband and I, we have a lot to offer, like information-wise, and also, I don't know, like we could introduce people to. We have a broad network in Japan, so I don't know why the U.S. embassy is not using us. Like we are good, you know. We may not have like social status, you know, like we're not PhD or anything, but oh well. Tell your people how Yoko Ishii is good. Okay. You have good resume ready. Man, I'm getting sleepy for you. Should I go? I think I should go. All right. You ended up tweeting in Japanese that as a US citizen, I do not approve of his behavior and I hope he's removed. Thank you for your action. Yes. I bet he sits down to pay. Actually, many Japanese guys sit down to do their business because their wives tell them to, because it's hard to clean up. It's so interesting how like American, especially, or Christian people, I think that, or no, it's an American culture. Like you guys call things gay easily, and that's very interesting. This Japanese guy that I follow on X, he lives in the US and always complain that Japanese men have bangs. Japanese guys have like crazy hair, you know, like bangs. And he says how childish it makes them look and so on, and how gay it will be seen. And you know, Japanese men are often scrawny too, So he tells us to the Japanese guy in America. He tells Japanese people to get muscles. So it is so funny. But anyway, どうやって知っていますか? No, there was a survey. There were surveys for everything, man. Yeah. Don't ever let the world know that. Oh no, I shouldn't spread it. Yeah. Looking forward to the next one. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, I could go on and on and on, but I guess you guys should go to sleep, right? And I should, I don't know, eat. I'm hungry. My stomach just made a huge sound because it's hungry. I need to feed myself. Okay. Thank you so much for coming, guys. And I appreciate your super chat so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because of you, I can go on, you know. Yes. Trump should hire you to be his advisor to Japan. That would be ideal. That would be ideal. Yes. Mahalo for your commentary. Oh, you're from Hawaii? Oh, there's somebody else from Hawaii, actually. She's not here today, I don't think, but yeah. You lived in Osaka? Cool. They just, yes, they to I always stand when I'm not at home. Cool. Okay, anyway, yeah, thank you guys. If you miss me, I'm on X, so yeah. Okay. Have a good night. Okay, I'll talk to you next week again. This is a weekly live stream, so I'll be back next week. And in the meantime, let's interact on X. Okay. Bye.